Hi guys, so today we'll make this mask reveal animation using React.js, Tailwind and Framer Motion. This website also won an Site of the Day on Awwwards.com. So let's start.
Okay, so let me just show you what I've already set up for this video. Inside our app function, we have a use effect which contains our Lenny smooth scroll code. And then inside our main, we have two divs. The first div contains another div which I'll tell you why. And then inside the div is our image that we're going to use for this video, and below is the div which is going to overlay that image with the cutout. And then below the second div is just acting as a placeholder so that we can scroll past the animation. This div just contains an h1 which I've used as a logo and a paragraph. That's it. So let me just show you how everything looks on our website right now. So this is the image that we are going to use. The height is set to 100 VH, and this is a div which is going to overlay that image. And this is a parody logo with the paragraph underneath it, and this is a div which is going to help us scroll past the animation, which is this right here. So the first thing I'll do is give this parent div a height of 230 VH. The longer the height of this container will be, the longer our animation will be. So you need to fine tune according to your preferences. I found this value to be perfect for this animation. And now I'll give both our image wrapper a position of absolute and an inset value of 0. And I'll pass on the same values to this text overlay as well, because I want both of them to be at the top. And the inset value 0 does is that it makes sure that both of our divs cover the whole viewport area at all times. I'll also give it a negative z index of 10 so that it is behind our text overlay div at all times. And now I'll use the second div and give it a positioning of sticky relative to our parent div, a top of 0 and a height of 100 VH. Now as you can see, our div is overlaying the image, and as we scroll, the whole div is sticky, and once the 230 VH is over, it scrolls past. And now if you look at the original animation closely, you'll notice that the logo slides up, the paragraph below it fades out, and the image also slides down from an initial position of slightly up. It's slightly up in its initial position, and it slides down as we scroll. So we'll code these three animations, and to track the scrolling, I'll create a ref and name it scroll ref, and use the use ref hook from React and pass it a value of null. And I'll give our parent div this ref. I'll pass this ref to our parent div. And now I'll initialize a variable and name it scroll via progress. This will store the scroll values, and use the use scroll hook from Framer Motion, or now just called Motion, and pass in our ref as a target. What this will do is it will only track the scroll position of our parent div. If we do not pass this target ref, it will track the scroll position of our entire app. And now I'll code those three animations quickly. So for the logo, I'll create an animation named slide up, and I'll use a use transform hook to convert these scroll via progress values to valid CSS values, which will pass on with the motion tag. And now I'll pass in scroll via progress in here, and the value of 0.2. And what I want is when the scroll is at 0, I want the logo to be where it is at 0%, like 0% shifting. And when I scroll past 20%, which is 0.2, I want the logo to be fully translated up, leaving the viewport. And next I'll code the fade out one for the paragraph below. Again use a use transform hook, pass in a scroll by progress, and for this one I'll use 0 and 0.25, and at the scroll value of 0 I want the opacity to be 1, and when I've scrolled 25%, I want the opacity to be 0, which is completely faded out. And the last for the image, I'll just name this image down. Again, use transform hook. Pass in the scroll by progress. And for this one, the values will be 0 to 1. And the value, I want the animation to be carried out throughout the scroll. And what I want is an image going from a position of minus 10% to a rest position of 0%. Now I'll quickly pass these animations. I'll use the motion tag from Framer Motion, which will help us convert these values into valid CSS. I'll use the style tag. And just this one, the image one was image down, so I'll just pass in the image down to our YPAM value. And for the H1, we'll again use this style tag, and this one for Y, we will pass our slide up animation and give it also a tag of motion.h1. I don't know what this autocomplete is. Again and again. And then for this paragraph below, I'll use again the motion I'll use the motion.p and then pass in a style tag. And then for the property of opacity, we'll pass in a fade out animation. And now I'll quickly import the motion from Framer Motion. Now, as you can see, when as I scroll, the logo moves up and the paragraph below fades out. You cannot see the image right now. Once we make the cutout, you will also see that. And now the only part left is our cutout. And for that, I'll quickly paste in the code that I've already written. What this is a clip path, which is again using the use transform hook, and I've passed in a scroll by progress, which ranges from the value 0 to 0.9, which is 90%. And I've used the polygon function, which will help us create the cutout. If you can understand what this polygon function is doing, then well and good. If not, just let me know. I'll make a video showcasing what this exact line of code is doing. But for now, just keep in mind that the first 5 values of this initial state and this whole below final state, this line, will be same for your animation as well. What you guys need to figure out is these last 5 coordinates, and you guys need to adapt it according to your image, because these will determine where your cutout is. So for my image, these were the coordinates, and the first coordinate will repeat. So there will be 4 values of the 4 points of the rectangle, and the first value will just repeat to close out the rectangle. And now I'll quickly pass it on a text overlay div, again using the style tag, and this time the property will be clip path, and I'll just pass in the clip path. And I'll again need to use motion.div, else it will not understand what to do with those values. And as you can see, our cutout is already here, and as I scroll, the logo moves up, the text below fades out, our image is sliding down as well, and the cutout is also expanding.
So our animation is ready, and all the links are below in the description for you to check out. I'll see you in the next video. Till then, bye, peace.